Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
Welcome to the show. Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. Producer Sean Schultz in Florida, still with his air conditioning out. My heart goes out to you, my friend. I don't know how you're dealing with it. I really don't. Excited for my guest today, comedian John Bizarre, whose voice you just heard on the intro. And we'll get to him here in just a second. I do got some dates coming up here where I'm going to be heading out on the road. I'm going to be in Michigan, August 3 through 5 at the Comedy Castle in Royal Oak with Dave Landau. August 15th, I'll be at Mr. M's in Gladwin, Michigan. August 18th, the Comedy Room at Portofino in Wyandotte, Michigan. Then I come back out here to Las Vegas, August 21st, Brad Garrett's Comedy Club at the MGM Grand. Go ahead and go to my website, DerekRichards.com, to get all the info and for links on tickets. And also, while you're online, grab my album, Double Down. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. Double Down, recorded in Fort Myers, Florida. Grab a copy of that today. And also, when you're rooting around on the internet, check out Normal World. It's on Blaze TV. You can download the app. And you can also type in the promo code NORMAL20 to save on your subscription to the Blaze TV app, which has a ton of great programs on there and a lot of stuff that is behind the paywall. You can also go on Normal World on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, which is absolutely free. My buddies Dave Landau, Quarter Black Garrett, Angela Boggs on there. Some funny stuff. Highly recommended, Normal World on Blaze TV. Now, my guest today, this intro, I could do an intro on this guy for days. He's a comedian. He's a filmmaker. He is a chef. He's a rickshaw driver. And you can see him at X Country at Harrah's in Las Vegas. He also has a brand new book out right now. My guest today is comedian John Bizarre. John Bizarre joins us now. What's happening, my friend?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Is it weird hearing your voice on the intro?
It is weird. It's weird because I'm doing that announcer guy. Hey, don't forget to listen to Derek on the show coming up right now. And that's kind of a little like I'm nowhere near as smooth as I was trying to be.
You are smooth as 12-year-old scotch. Which you have not had in a long time.
Good.
I'm doing fantastic. You're looking fantastic as always. You've been. I always say the show is. What are you looking at? You're looking strange.
I don't know what you're looking at. There's nothing fantastic going on here, man. I'm looking fantastic.
You are looking fantastic.
Another dude.
You're looking You look great, my friend. You've been sober now for how many years?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's been
15?
15 years. 15 years, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you back in the days when you were drinking, and of course, obviously, when you've been sober here for a while. What's your before we get into talking about your book, Letters to a Dead Guy, which I have right here. Ta-da! I am halfway through this book. It is a lightning fast read. We'll get to this here in a second, but I want to hear. I always ask guests this question: your favorite or worst drunk story?
Oh, favorite drunk story. Did I tell you the story when I went to Budapest? Stayed in that. When I was living in Amsterdam, I was a rickshaw driver. I used to work, and then I would save a little money, and then I would go, all right, I'm going to take a couple of days off, and I would go down to the train station, and I don't know, you've seen those European train stations where you look up, and then all of the train things are all the destinations are written up there, and I would just go down and go, I'll just pick one out. So once I went down and go, all right, you know what? I'm going to Budapest. I've never been there. So I get in a train, go to Budapest. I get off the train in Budapest, and there was this piece of paper with all these little things you could just tear off, and they had the phone number on them. And it was do you need a place to stay? And you just pull off, and then you just call the phone number. And so I did that. I called up, and it was some kind of a booking agency. And they said, yeah, you can stay at this place for $10 a night. Okay, $10 a night. so I find the place. It's on a map. I go there. I get to the house, and the lady brings me in, and she shows me this room. And you have to picture, it's a single bed. It's a room right next to the front door, and it's a single bed. And the room itself is about the size of the bed. I mean, you could just kind of like walk in, and then you could walk to the end, and then you could walk back, and then walk out, and then there's the bed, and that's it. That's all that's in the room, and it's $10 a night. I was like, okay. And there was a on the bed there was like a list of rules, and it was, don't do this. One of them was curfew 11 o'clock. Be back here by 11 o'clock. Then she shows me the bathroom. It's her bathroom. It's their house. They live in this house. They rent out this room. Like, oh, okay. Long story short, I go out. I get hammered. I can't find the place. I got to go back. I left the note and the address and everything back on the bed with my backpack and everything else. I can't find this place. I am hammered. I'm in Budapest. I'm so drunk. I go to this bar that I think is in the area, and I explain it to this guy. I go, look, the bartender, I go, look, I'm staying at this house. It's a blue house. They rent out to tourists. He goes, oh, yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, it's over here. It's like 2 blocks that way, 1 block right. You'll see it. I find it. I walk in. I'm trying to shorten the story. I walk in. I go into the bedroom, and there's a guy, this fat, short, round dude sitting on the bed with this look on his face, like, just looking at me, sitting on the bed. And I'm drunk. I don't even know that I'm so drunk. I don't know that I'm really seeing this. And he's just looking at me, and he's like, says something in Hungarian. I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, I'm like, okay. So I sit down next to him on this bed in this tiny room, and he starts saying something in Hungarian. I'm saying something in English. We don't understand each other. And I'm going, yeah, I got lost. I'm a little drunk. I'm sorry, I'm late. And he goes, And then he leaves the room, and he comes back in, and he's got 2 giant beers, these huge Hungarian beers. And he hands me one, and he sits in the bed, and he's like, clink, and we're like, and he goes, and I'm like, yeah, and I got lost. What the fuck is going on? He's like, and me and this like little round Hungarian dude just got hammered on this little bed in this little room, and that's probably as far as I'm going to tell the story.
Was he the owner of the house, or did they go ahead and rent the room out to somebody else too?
I assume it was the husband of the house. I don't know for sure. I assume it wasn't some dude that just kind of walked in and sat in the bed and wanted to get drunk with me.
Which would not be out of bounds for a story coming out of your mouth.
Hey, whatever. It's life is short. Let's see what happens.
That wouldn't surprise me in the least. That's like because, and also you're thinking this is back how many years? It's got to be 25 years?
Yeah,
25
like
years ago.
Yeah.
So you didn't have cell phones. You couldn't take a picture of the house, the address, or Google pinpoint it on Google Maps. I mean, this is old school. You had to ask for directions, draw it out on a map, have somebody tell you where to go. You didn't have Siri to tell you.
No. No, you actually had to live your life back then.
No. Please, Grandpa, tell us about the old days.
I still, in my car, have that giant Rand McNally.
Oh, yeah. I've got one in the trunk of my car just in case the GPS goes out. Absolutely. You have to have it.
Yeah, it's right there. Those were the days. You spread it out on the dashboard, and you've got your pen and your mark and everything. And
I remember folding up the AAA map wrong in my dad's car, and my dad would lose his shit. How do you not know how to fold a map? It's like, fold this way, fold this way, fold this way, fold this way, fold it, go back in. And I'm just like, as a kid, I'm like, crunch, 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 and just shove it in the glove box. And he was all pissed off. And then, it was a disaster. I'm excited about your new book, by the way, here, Letters to a Dead Guy, which is available now on Amazon. Highly, highly recommended. I am halfway through this thing right now. Tell me about this book.
It's a collection of stories and little essays and letters to people. There's a letter to my mom in there. There's a letter to a number of different friends. There's a letter to somebody from CNN. There's a letter to the president of Wrigley Company. It's just a collection of different things that I wrote over the years. Some of it is from this year. Some of it was from like January, February, this past January, February. Some of it is from many years ago. It's just a collection of stuff. I really wanted to, I'm getting up there in years. I'm almost 86 years old. I'm getting up there in years. I want to make sure that I leave something that I'm kind of something of myself that's worth reading. I mean, I've read a lot of stuff from other comics and whatnot that I found now. Wow, I've started myself down a sentence that I don't want to finish now, but I have read some stuff.
Welcome to my life story.
That I'm like, dude, why would you write that? Yeah, write something. And here's what I'll tell you what led me to write this book. Here's a story for you. When I was an Air Force brat, and I moved all the time. So I moved like almost every year of my life. After ninth grade, we moved to the Azores, Portugal. And I took a reading test at the school. It was on a SAC base, a security Air Force base, whatever that is, a secure air command, whatever, Air Force base. And they gave me a reading test, and the reading test said that I was reading at an 8th grade level, and I was going into 10th grade. And what I said to the reading teacher at the time was, hey, I'll just read on my own, and I'll catch up. And I'll never forget her. She was this kind of crabby old bat. I don't mind saying that. I'm sure she would be okay with me saying that if she was still alive. She was a crabby old bat. And I was like, I remember saying to her, yeah, I'll just read on my own. And she looked at me and she went, no, you won't. And it infuriated me. But she was right. I was a stoner. I was a drunk. At 15, I was already a mess. And she knew it. So this room was filled with books. And she goes, you can pick any 2 books in this room, any 2 books. And by the end of the month, you give me 2 book reports. And you're going to do that every month for the first half of the year. And that's going to get you back up to your proper reading level. And I hated her for this. So I was looking around and I picked the skinniest books I could find. And they were, so I was like, fuck you. I'll just, you said any book. Yeah, about this skinny fucking book right here. So I got 2 of them and I brought them over to her and she goes, okay, good. She goes, good. And the 2 books one was called Without Feathers by Woody Allen. And the other was this book about, this is what this book is kind of like in structure. It was a book about a gang and this kid who just joins the gang and gets involved in all this really bad shit. And what I liked about the book was, first of all, the stories were just horrifying, but was that it was this independently made book. I don't know if you noticed this, Derek, in the book, there's no foreword. There's no introduction. No. There's no table of contents. There are no page numbers. It's just, you open it up. There's the name of the book. Boom. Chapter 1.
Yep.
We're going right in. That's it. That's what that book was like. And I never forgot. I can't remember the name of the book, but I never forgot the impact that book had on me, because it was this independently published book that just blew me away. And then the Woody Allen book. This is kind of like a combination of those 2 books, because the Woody Allen book, if you've ever read it, Without Feathers, it's just a combination of little things from his notebooks and stuff like that, funny stuff. And so that's was the whole genesis of this book. And so, and I wanted to make it, both of those books made me want to read. So I still, to this day, say thank you, Mrs. Bernhardt, because it's because of her that I really got into reading. I really started to just burn through books after that. And it's because of her, that crabby old bat.
Old bat.
Yeah. that made me read that book. And God bless her, that crabby old bat. I love her. And I owe so much to her, that crabby old bat.
Well, I love your writing style. I love your detail and your just how you put stuff together, your structure. Like there's one story in here. You're at the DMV and you got a snot in your nose that you're trying to get out. And this lady looks over, she goes, "What's your problem?" She asked. "Got a booger from you." I love this paragraph, cracks me up. This is oh, hold on. She started rifling through her purse, a cracked and wrinkled little bag that looked like something you would use to make haggis. I stared at the top of her head, marveling at her Prussian blue steel wool hair. I studied the folds in her neck and wondered if she might have some Shar-Pei in her pedigree. That is such a great description of someone that would work at the DMV. I was dying laughing. In this book, it's like, now to the reader, when you're looking at, and I'm going to read the description on the back here. Desperate pleas to a corpse, an Amsterdam squat full of anarchists, a bloody experiment in self-surgery, and a hilarious showdown with a monstrous pig outside a Portuguese bar, letters to a dead guy, is the naked chronicle of a deliberate life. Now, people that know you, this is you. This is completely you. And like I said, I think when I started going through it, and it struck me because there was no table of contents. There are no page numbers. And in my head, I'm going, oh, Amazon screwed up. He's going to be so pissed. And then it clicked. I'm like, I know, bizarre. This is all deliberate. This is exactly why he put this thing together. And this book to me is like if you went into an attic at your grandparents' house and there was a closet and you opened the closet and just all kinds of shit came tumbling out. Everything from like maybe an old Bible that grandma had, some Christmas decorations, some crap that your grandfather had from the war. And it's like you're looking at this stuff and you go, what the fuck is this? And this, to me, this book, and you can look at all the things that came out of this closet and you can find these killer stories that came out of it. And the way you piece this thing together is so damn funny.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you put it very, very well. That's really, I wanted to make the kind of book that you would find like in a used bookstore that clearly was independently made and you've never heard of this guy and what is this? And then you read the first few pages and go, all right, I'll go through this. Let's see what this is. And then you just go through it. But yeah, that's even a better description, finding it in an old closet. That's like perfect.
But the cool thing with this book is you can, and everybody has coffee table books. This is a great coffee table book where somebody could sit down while you're getting them a cup of coffee or whatever. And you can thumb through this and you can just find a spot in the middle. You can go, oh, here's this, searching for Boogie Fisher. Boom. And then read this story. Read a few pages like, oh, okay, this is cool. And put it down and then go back and then start at a different point in the book. And you're not losing anything in translation.
That's right. But what's funny is like that doesn't work for some people. I've had a couple of friends of mine friends of mine recently, we were out at this bar and I go, I gave him the book like a month or two ago. And I go, did you read the book? And he goes, yeah. I go, and you're waiting. And I go, I don't know, did you like it or no or yeah? And he goes, it's all over the place. I don't know what to make of it. It's just all over the place. So some people don't really pick up on that. They want a book, beginning, middle, and end. They want a story. It's all one thing. It's all like, whatever, how to get in touch with your feelings and do this and that. It's like, no, that's not it. This is just it's a smorgasbord. It's just a bunch of shit.
It's a collection of stuff that's put together. And like I said, you don't have to be following it from page 1, if there was a page 1, to page 180, which there's no page 180 either. Now, you did this on the letters to a dead guy, because you literally write specifically to a couple of people whose names popped up more than once.
Yeah.
John Weiss and Keith Dion. Who are these people?
Well, Keith Dion and his wife Casey, they live out in Ventura. He's a comic. He's an actor. He's an artist. His wife Casey's an artist. And they, I've known him since probably at least like 30 years. And he used to run the Ventura Comedy Club down there. And he's a great guy. He's an old friend of mine. But he is one of those few guys that does write back. Like, one of the things, I used to write letters to John Weiss. John Weiss, the other guy, is a friend I've known since 1982. And he was the guy I started in comedy with. But he was one of those guys that when I first met him, he gave me the Groucho letters. I don't know if you ever read that. It's just a collection of letters that Groucho wrote over the years. It's like that thick. And it's just really, really great. And I always loved that book. And after I read that, he and I used to write letters. And we'd always write, on like these like legal pads.
Sure.
And I would write, I always thought like a 3-page letter was perfect. 3 pages, just the front, is the perfect length for a letter. And this is old school. For your younger viewers and fans, this is paper. It's thin wood. It's thin. It's like, imagine a tree, and you got a razor blade, and you're shaving it, and then these come off it. And what happens is you put them together, these little shavings, and then they put lines on them. And what you do is, when you're typing and then you see like the letters come up, what you do is you use this is a pen, and you kind of like my name is John, and then you put like a J, and then you write the J. So you don't actually click the J, you write the J with, like I said, this is a pen. And then you write the rest of it, like you would put an O.
This reason alone is why every customer service person, I'm sure, hates you when you come walking up to the counter.
I've said this to my wife a number of times, and she'll back this up. I'm a very exasperating man. I'm quite difficult to deal with on just about any level. But so we used to write these letters, and I have in that closet like a box probably like yay big.
Wow. Filled
with letters from John Weiss. Like, I keep letters. I'm a big fan of letters.
Yeah.
So I have them from the 80s, the 90s, just all packed in there tight. And I mean, because to me, letters are like, they're archive, and they're they're represent, because when you write a letter, this is to me what I love about, what I hated about email when it came in, was that when you write a letter to somebody, I mean, everything's there.
Yeah.
What you wrote, what you decided to write, because and back in the day when you write a letter, you sit down, you go, you know what, I'm going to sit down and write this guy a letter.
Right.
And so you make a mistake and you're crossing it out, and you can tell
exactly.
Now, you can tell by the writing. Then he's getting pissed. He's like, he's pissed that he fucking didn't do that right. And then you're trying to squeeze shit into the bottom there because you don't want to use another page and all that shit. I just think that letters are so great because they tell so much about what the letter writer is trying to get across, and his mood and everything else. So I've always loved letters.
Yeah, because I've got handwritten recipes from my mom, and letters that my grandma had written me years ago, and because my grandma just had a font. She did. I mean, her penmanship was so deliberate and so literally like an L would come up the same height every single time. It never went lower or went higher. I mean, and my mom just had a very deliberate way of writing as well. And so I think it's a piece of the person. It really is. It's way more personal than, like an email or a text. So I agree 100%.
Yeah. It just tells you so much about the person, all these different things. And I have those too. I have a lot of recipes from my grandmother, from Nancy, my wife's grandmother. Like I use her recipe for baklava when I make baklava, and it's this really old school recipe. And my grandmother has, when I was like in 4th grade, for 6 months, I had to stay with my grandmother, and she was one of those old school Portuguese grandmothers where when you went into the kitchen, all 4 burners were always cooking something. There'd be some soup here. There'd be some sauce there. There'd be water bubbling for something here. And then there'd be something in a pan that she'd be frying up. And then there'd be bread in the oven. And she would write down in her scrawl, that kind of like, second language scrawl, what the recipes were. It's just fantastic. I love that shit.
I love seeing that stuff. Now, these letters to the dead guys now who've, John is obviously, is John passed now? John dead?
Yeah, John passed away. John was one of my best friends, and he passed away quite a while ago. Keith and I still write to each other, but yeah, John passed away quite a while ago. And one of the reasons I wrote those letters to him is because it's years of history where when I write to him, I write in a particular voice. And it's a voice that doesn't come out of me the same way if I'm not writing to him, if that makes any sense.
Interesting, yeah.
So it's like,
the way you write a letter to your mom or to your wife or to, another friend is not going to be the same way you're going to write a letter to this particular friend.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, I wonder, here's another chunk. This cracked me up here too. Hang on, I got to pull this up. Where is this at? Here we go. Okay, this was written during the pandemic.
Okay.
This is one of the it says because of the recent toilet paper shortage, Nancy and I have seriously discussed using the neighbor's cat as a replacement. Well, she may not have been serious, but I was. And apparently we're not the only folks on the block to come up with that idea. Whenever that dirty little pigeon murderer slinks across the street, you can see the other neighbors peeking through their blinds, sizing her up, drooling over her clean, fluffy fur, wondering how many wipes she might endure before putting up a fight. And whether or not you could push her far enough up in there to clean all those hard-to-reach areas. That had me spraying coffee out of my pine hole yesterday. That was hysterical. But just the writing in your descriptions and everything, I mean, just so just a fun read.
Thanks, man. You haven't gotten to the story yet about when I go to Blockbuster with a...
No, I did not get that part yet.
All right, well, you got that coming up.
All right, good. I'm looking forward to it.
And there's another story where I literally, I don't have health insurance. I literally cut something. What I did was I had this skin tag on the fold between my ass and my leg. I don't know if I can make an ass and a leg, but
how did you? I don't want to know how you found it, but never mind.
Well, you can't. What happens is you put your underwear on. It flicks it. It's like you fucking feel it. So it's like I was like, yeah, whatever. So at one point, and this is years ago, I was like, maybe I'll just like try and pinch it off or something. And I was like, that didn't work. And then I read that if you just kind of tie it off with like a dental floss, that'll choke it and it'll fall off. And then I did that, but I didn't do it long enough. I did it for like a day, and I went, that didn't work. So I took that off. And then I just forgot about it. I just say, yeah, whatever the fuck. And then, like, I'm walking across the room, and Nancy goes, I'm not wearing any pants, and Nancy goes, what is that flapping sound? And I go, what is it? She goes, back that ass up over here. And she goes, what is this? I go, it's that skin tag. She goes, look at the sun. And I feel it, and it's huge. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's like that. It's like that. It's
now
huge.
You pissed it off. Now you have a penis growing out of your ass.
Well, yeah, kind of. Actually, if I thought of it that way, I wouldn't have cut it off. So, who doesn't want a second cock, right? So, so I decide I'm just going to cut it off myself. Because I could go to, I don't want to pay some doctor, because I know what he's going to do. He's just going to go, all right, we'll cut it off. He'll cut it off and he'll put something on it, and then I'll go home. So why don't I just do that myself? So I actually went into the bathroom and I set towels up. I'm not making this up. This is all true. And I detail it.
Making it up.
Yeah, I detail it in the book. And I use ice cubes for about like 20 minutes to just numb this thing. And I didn't really have anything like surgical. So I used just like a pair of scissors, but a big pair of scissors. And I went in there and I just, at one point I was like, all right, just numb it with the ice. All right, it's ready. And then I just, at one point, I'm in the tub to catch the blood. And I just pull it and I just cut it. I just cut it. And I knew it was going to hurt, but I didn't know it was going to hurt that much. It really, really fucking hurt. It was so painful. And there was blood shooting out of my ass. And what happened was, because it was a big hole now. I had this huge hole and blood's just shooting out. And I'm screaming for Nancy to come in and bring in some more blood. Towels and stuff, and she comes in and she's horrified. She just comes in and just throws the towels and runs out. And I grabbed the towels, but there was blood like in the tub now, and so I slipped and I just landed in the tub, and blood just shot on the wall. It looked like a crime scene. It looked like a fucking Dexter episode. It was just blood everywhere. And I'm just cleaning. I'm just doing the best I can. And but you know what? Didn't cost me a penny. That's the point. Didn't cost me a penny.
I not for nothing, had you shown up to urgent care with your ass just covered in towels, just with blood soaked through. And they're like, oh, is this an emergency? Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm in the waiting room waiting to get a shot or have a bruise looked at, I see a guy coming in with a towel soaked with blood on his ass. I'm like, you can go ahead of me.
Yeah, that guy gets first. I don't care what you have.
That guy gets preferential treatment. I don't care if I have AIDS. You're going to go before me. They say all right, let me ask you this. If you died tomorrow, just because, again, the book Letters to a Dead Guy, available on Amazon, highly recommended, from comedian John Bizarre. If you died tomorrow, what letter would you like to have written to you? And who would it be from? What letter would you like to have written to you if you died tomorrow, and who would it be from?
That's a hard one.
I mean, there's so many people in our lives that you would like to, hear from.
Yeah.
After you pass.
Well, wait a minute.
Your wife?
If I'm passing, how am I going to read the fucking letter?
Well, in the afterlife, someone is kneeling by your headstone. Someone's kneeling by your headstone.
I'm having a problem with the premise.
They write a letter to you. You're the dead guy.
Right. And I'm up in heaven waiting for a fucking letter.
Well, heaven's a bit of a stretch. Let's say purgatory. Let's just say for the sake of argument that the elevator is stuck in between floors.
Mhm.
And they haven't quite decided where you're going to go. I mean, is there something that anybody in your past that you think would like to come forth and say something to you? Because I think a lot of times people end up going to a cemetery. Like I'll go to where my parents died, and I'll sit there and I'll share stuff with them, stuff that they're both buried in the the same. They're buried right next to each other, so I'll talk to my mom and dad. And,
yeah. I think
share some thoughts and ideas. I mean, if you were on the receiving end of that, is there something that is there anybody in particular? And if not, that's totally cool.
I know. I thought I had one initial thought, and then I was kind of bailing on it. My initial thought was, no one's going to like this answer. I would like to have a letter from Donald Trump,
okay,
explaining the preamble to the Constitution. It's one sentence, the preamble. We the people of the United States, blah, blah, blah. It's one sentence, and it's full of these little phrases with commas after them. Explain each one of them. Just because I would like to know, I think that would tell so much about him. I think we would learn so much about who that guy really is, not who he puts forth and not the way people think of him, but the real guy. If he had to just, what does this sentence mean? What does this sentence mean? What do you think this sentence means? I would like that. That was my first thought.
That is so cool.
I would like that. But then when you were just saying that, I was thinking, I
like that answer only because it's so out of bounds. Because I would think that I would like if I, when I pass, I would like to hopefully think that somebody that maybe screwed me over would come by and visit the cemetery and say, hey, you know what? Remember that time back in period X when I was a douchebag to you and I fucked you out of some money or I screwed you out of some opportunities? I'm sorry that happened, blah, blah, blah. So that's what kind of ran through my mind. But that description of what you just said right there, having Donald Trump come to your gravesite and explain the preamble to the Constitution, that is an answer that I think is completely on brand with you.
I would just love to hear it. I would love, because I have no idea how he would describe that sentence and those little phrases. I haven't the slightest idea how he would do that, because that's
Can you do a Donald Trump impression of him doing the preamble? No? Okay.
No, I'm afraid we may need to bring in a guest for that one.
I thought that might even go that direction. We the people of the United States, in order to form. Okay. I anyway, so I'm not even going to do that.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I would love to hear about that. As you were saying that, my grandfather on my father's side, I would love to hear about that boat ride over in it was like 1911 or something like that.
Yeah.
I would what was that boat ride like? Because he's in Portugal, they got to get out of there for whatever reason. And they just see, God, America. Let's just go to America. Let's just go. We'll start new. He was a butcher, and he just got in a boat. And I think on the boat, that's where he met his wife, my grandmother, on the boat over. So I would love to hear that story, how they met. Because we did a little ancestry stuff, and there are a lot of these different stories in there that I can't fill these holes in.
Wouldn't it be a great story if your grandpa met your grandmother by removing a skin tag off her ass because he was a butcher?
Turns out she had this big thing hanging off her ass, and I had a suitcase full of knives because I'm a butcher. And I said to her, back that ass up, bitch. Let's go.
See? The circle of life. That's how this works.
We become our parents and our grandparents. We're all the same people.
Fast forward 110 years, you in a bathtub with a bloody ass and your wife throwing towels at you.
There is no time. It's all the same moment.
And as much as we joke around about the stuff that's in this book, what really kind of got my brain going on it was, when you're writing letters to your friend John who passed away. And then I start thinking in my head, who would I like to write to? And what would I say to them? And I think that's just a good chance to cleanse your brain. It's a good chance to, do a dump of stuff in your head that's maybe been, that you've thought about for years, and that you're like, oh man, I'd like to explain to this person this. And I think even just going through the physical process of writing a letter to this dead person, and whether you're apologizing for something or trying to explain something that you did in your life, I think it's a cool thing for people to take it to. That's what I got out of this.
I think it is too. I think it really, because it is the difference between letter writing and either texting or emailing or anything else. When you, right. Like I said before, when you write a letter, you're taking the time. I'm going to take the next hour and just, because that's what people used to do. I'm going to tell you what's going on in my life, and that's where your voice comes through in that kind of storytelling way as you begin to just write and whatnot. Like, I totally agree, and it's taken me years to discover this, and it was thanks to my wife Nancy that I kind of discovered this, is that the way I think is through writing. Sometimes shit is bothering me, and I can't it's just bugging me for fucking days. And I'm trying to explain it to Nancy, and I don't even realize I'm being repetitive. And she's like, I know, you said that yesterday. I know. She goes, write it out. Just write it out. And then I'll write it out, and I'm done. That's all I had to do. I just had to get it out of me. I have an example of that, by the way, because I need to write this out. I had heard that Adele tickets were really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Now, have you ever seen Adele?
No, I haven't seen her in concert, no.
Okay. Me neither. And so I look up, and I'm just, she has a residency here in Las Vegas, and I'm looking up. Sure. Like, oh, okay, Adele tickets. Okay, she's like sold out for, I don't know, a month or two. But you can go to these other sites where they buy tickets and then they sell the tickets and make a profit.
Scalp it.
So
absolutely.
I was looking up like good seats for Adele. Not because I want to go, I just want to know. And I look, because believe me, I don't want to go. I don't know why she's famous. I don't know why people like her voice. Every song is whiny, and I can't stand it. Why does she do that affectation with her fucking voice? I can't. Just everything about it does not appeal to me. But that's fine. Some people like it. Yeah, you go have a good time with that shit. But so I'm looking up tickets, and I find these tickets, and I have it written here. There were 2 tickets, First of all, section 104, row F. So this isn't front row, fucking row F. $6,362 for 2 tickets.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask Adele something. What are you going to do that's worth $6,000 on that stage? Mm-hmm. What could you possibly do? Derek, let me tell you something. I saw Angus Young and AC/DC open for Ted Nugent at Madison Square Garden. I don't know if have you ever seen Angus Young live?
I have not.
Okay. You know who I'm talking about. When Angus Young, I've seen AC/DC maybe 7 or 8 times live, but this was back in the day, maybe in 1979. They were opening for Ted Nugent, and Angus Young comes out. And Angus Young is just like this for like 2 hours. He is ripping up that stage. He's kicking ass. He's shredding that guitar for 2 fucking hours. There was one point that, by the way, 79, Bon Scott was still alive at that point. At one point, he disappears and Bon Scott disappears, but we can still hear them playing. I don't know what the fuck is going on. We're all looking around. We look in the back of Madison Square Garden, and I'm not making this up. Angus Young is on Bon Scott's shoulders, and he's got like a wireless guitar, and Bon Scott is running through the center of Madison Square Garden while Angus Young is wailing on that guitar all the way back to the stage. They kicked ass before Ted Nugent, so much so that when they got off stage, you can look this up too. There's a lot of people who were at that concert that have written this. This is on the internet all over the place. 1979, Madison Square Garden, AC/DC, opening for Ted Nugent. Everybody on the floor, I was like 2 rows up, took their chairs and threw them in a pile, protesting the fact that AC/DC left the stage. The place went apeshit. It's not that they didn't want to see Ted Nugent. It's that they wanted more AC/DC, and they went apeshit. They had to stop the show. After AC/DC wasn't coming back on, they had to clear all the chairs up before Ted Nugent could come out. Those tickets cost me $25 fucking dollars. $25. I saw that. What is Adele gonna do for $6,000 fucking dollars that comes even close to that? Is my question.
Okay, what I want the next book to be Letters to Adele. And I just want I want it to be a series of letters to Adele about you bitching, you telling the AC/DC story, the AC/DC Ted Nugent story in Madison Square Garden for $25. And then even better, I want to see you go to the Adele show at Caesar's Palace at the Coliseum. And I want you to grab chairs and start ripping them off of their moorings and throwing them in a stack. And as security is taking you out, tell them your Ted Nugent story. Ted Nugent AC/DC story in Madison Square Garden. They are going to lock you up in a wing of Vegas Metro jail that has not been opened since the mob was in town.
Dude, I don't know how I'm still working in this town anyway. I don't know how is that possible? I've been in the show 7 years now.
That's insane. Ex-Country at Harris, you can catch John Bizarre. Yeah. Well, and you've done all the shows in the X franchise, the burlesque shows. So you've been a part of all that stuff for a long, long time here in town. Let me ask you this. If this book were a movie, Letters to a Dead Guy, if this book were a movie, which actor would play you?
Well, if I had the choice.
Yes, you have the choice. I know you're a big
Don Knotts. Why not Don Knotts? If you could bring him back to life, if you could get Don Knotts, why not have Don Knotts play you in a movie?
What? Again,
there's no answer to that question.
There is no answer to that question. Don Knotts as John Bizarre in Letters to a Dead Guy. You have, by the way, people need to grab this book on Amazon, Letters to a Dead Guy, Amazon.com. You can find it right there. That is his beautiful mug. You can find the book. It is a
By the way, I've only had one person, this happened last night, ask me about the subtitle. Nobody asks me about the subtitle.
And other selections from the Middle Pocket Cheese Slide. And I was going to ask you about that, and then we got caught up in our conversation like we usually end up doing, and it goes off the rails, and I forget where the hell I'm at. That's why I've got notes written down here. I'm going. This is like, focus. John is going to lead you down some paths that you need. You've got to simply leave breadcrumbs to get back to where the hell you were going. So I actually forgot. I forgot that. So let me ask you that. The subtitle list: Letters to a Dead Guy and other selections from the Middle Pocket Cheese Slide.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well,
and if you say there's no meaning, I'm going to end this conversation right the fuck now.
Well, no, there is a meaning. The middle pocket cheese slide means taking a shit. You know what I mean? You have a pair of pants, you have 2 pockets, the middle pocket cheese slide. So it's essentially It's essentially letters to a dead guy and some other shit.
Oh my God. I've never heard that phrase before.
Middle pocket cheese slide.
I've never heard middle pocket cheese slide.
It's an old
hysterical.
One. It's a very old one.
That is so funny. You have a memory retention as we wrap up here. Again, letters to a dead guy on Amazon. Snag it. Give me 3 of your favorite street jokes. You have a recollection of street jokes like I have never seen anybody have. I cannot remember a street joke to save my life. And if I need one, you're my resource.
Well, I do like those old jokes. Okay. How about this? Guy works in a sex shop. Lady walks in. Hey, how much for that? How much for that white dildo? Because that's $20. Fuck, I can't even remember how this joke goes now. Holy shit. I can't remember how that joke goes. Okay, how about this one? Guy's in a waiting room. Doctor walks in and goes, look, we don't know what your wife has. It's either AIDS or it's Alzheimer's. Guy goes, what do I do? Doctor goes, if I were you, I would drive her to another city and drop her off. If she finds her way back home, I wouldn't fuck her. Here's my favorite joke. And man, does this not go over a lot. A priest walks into a hotel, goes up to the desk clerk and goes, look, I'm a priest. I'm with the Catholic Convention. Before I check in, I just want to make sure in my room, the porn channel is disabled, right? Desk clerk goes, no, it's not disabled. It's just regular porn, you sick fuck. That joke does not go over well.
That's hysterical. And I can't think of a better way to wrap up this episode with the disabled porn joke. Letters to a Dead Guy. Snag it on Amazon. It's a fantastic read. It's a fun read. My good friend John Bazar wrote it. It's like I said, very well put together. I'm so happy that you got this out, my friend.
Oh, it's good talking to you, man. It's so good talking to you.
Always good talking to you, too. John Bazar, catch him in Next Country at Harrah's Casino here in Las Vegas when you make a trip out here. My friend, thank you so much for being here. John Bazar, Derek Richards, we will see you next time. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.